This is the Rugged Revival podcast. We're the home of the UK's country, Americana and roots music community. Today I am joined by a really exciting young blues talent and somebody that I literally have not stopped listening to since the back end of last year. It's Marcus Trummer. So welcome to the Rugged Revival, Marcus. How are you, mate?
Hello. Yeah, doing great here. Just hanging out, and it's good to be on.
And you're back home now, aren't you?
Sort of. Actually, we're coming to you from the road actually right now, in Texas. But I was just back home in Calgary, or in Alberta, Canada, where I'm from. Calgary's my hometown. And I had a last minute show up there, but then the band and I have kind of been on the road in the States the past few weeks. So yeah, actually just coming to the tail end of that. So we're here in Austin, Texas right now.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said before we jumped on, I've been stalking you across socials, and you've been to some really cool places. So I'll have some questions around that, and it'd be good to share, what you've been doing, mate. But yeah, definitely welcome to the show. I've been really keen to talk to you about it, and you are our third Canadian artist. Can you believe it? Over the year or so that we've been running the podcast, so we've had Steel Saddle on, who are coincidentally another kind of soulful bluesy band, but they're from Montreal. And
Nice.
Randomly, Ricky Forbes, Tornado Chaser, when I first started
Cool.
doing the podcast. He's an awesome dude. So, welcome, my Canadian friend. What we do on the Rugged Revival, we like to start off quite light and trying to get a bit of, about your personality and background, Marcus. So I think to kick things off, let's go way back. So where exactly did you grow up, and what sort of childhood did you have, mate?
Yeah, the story starts in Calgary, Canada, Western Canada. We're right on the prairies. I know some people might have heard of Banff. We're only a couple hours from Banff, so right by the mountains, and where the mountains and the Great Plains begin, right? So it's a beautiful place to grow up, and I was always surrounded by music. Just my parents definitely had an influence on me in that regard. Both my parents are musicians, just as a hobby, and definitely I was raised, to appreciate music and different styles too. I know I was going to jazz concerts and classical and rock, kind of the whole spectrum from an early age, and just grew up, playing instruments in the school band. I played the trombone for a number of years and was in the choirs and kind of like the musical productions all throughout my school years, but didn't really get into like music specifically, like songwriting and gigging until a little bit later. I was maybe 13 when I started playing guitar. My dad plays guitar, and so we always had a guitar hanging around the house. And he was mostly into jazz stuff and a bit of blues too. So Wes Montgomery, B.B. King, stuff like that. And it was kind of develop an interest in trying to mess around with the guitar. It was never really pushed on me. I think my dad maybe sat me down once with like a book and tried to do like a couple of scales or something at one point, and I definitely didn't have the patience for that at that age, and I kind of had to come to it myself. So started messing around with like sounds and got into like the Black Keys and the White Stripes and music like that, which was like more edgy, which as like a young teenager I thought was cool. But then, little did I know the blues was actually at the source of all of that stuff. And so, over time, started messing around with guitar pedals and, making like fuzz sounds, and just started playing. My first real gig I played, or real performance with guitar, I did a talent show at my middle school. My younger brother played drums. He still plays drums for me today. Silas Trummer. But we entered the talent show and did like this mashup of Michael Jackson, Billie Jean, and "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana. So it was like kind of rock but also had a bit of that kind of R&B soul edge to it. So it's interesting how like the blues and rock and soul was present there. Even early on, I didn't really know about the history of it all, right? But somehow was pulled in that direction. I guess just growing up with being exposed to jazz and blues, and I guess it just kind of seeped in there because that's the one thing coming from where I come from in Western Canada. Blues and soul music is very um, very foreign in a way. Like, obviously, might sound weird to you guys because like you're used to that, but we're in North America, at least, pretty close to the U.S. But the southern states where all this music comes from feels like a world away. Now it's funny that we do the drive down here like it's nothing now. Hop in the van and drive all the way down here.
That's a
But
long journey, man.
oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's a good three or 4 days of driving.
Wow. I can't even
and,
fathom that.
and there's not much in between, right? Like there's only like a couple major cities really between Calgary and like here we are in Texas, right? Like the only real major city on the way is like Denver, Colorado. And other than that, it's just wide open space, which is it's amazing, but also yeah, it's tough when you're coming from there and doing the type of music I make. Sometimes I've definitely felt like a bit, I don't know, out of place, right? But it's just I connect so much with it and have dug deeper and deeper into the history and just have respect for the whole um, path of how blues developed and kind of just yeah deep respect for that. That's kind of why I don't really even call myself necessarily a blues artist, just because I feel like I'm influenced by blues and the history of rhythm and blues music, but I don't claim to be like necessarily uh, a blues man or like someone who experienced all that. I think we all experience the blues to an extent, human, it's part of the human condition. But I definitely, understand that my life for the most part has been pretty easy. So I just try to write from my perspective and do my thing. And I guess, yeah, that's a whole ramble on about kind of where I'm at now, but that's sort of how I got to where I'm at now.
No, that's so interesting, right? And I'm glad you kind of touched upon the kind of blues or soul kind of music within where you are, because I did wonder that, and I thought, well, where's that come from? And you mentioned, the influences from your dad, and kind of perhaps going for his records, and him teaching you guitar in that way. But I know, Canada has some jazz festivals and things like that. But I just wondered how prevalent that type of music was. So, and like I said
Yeah.
at the start, it was interesting, when we had Still Saddle on, who were, like I say, coincidentally making that sort of old style 60s, 70s kind of soulful bluesy type music. And as you say, it's very hard to kind of pigeonhole this type of music because there's lots of different influences kind of going on within it. But yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. That's so interesting. And I'm a bit of an armchair geek as well, because being in England, we don't tend to go to too many places, and it's a small island where we are. And I mentioned we went to Texas last year, and that was an eye opener. That was like going to Disneyland for us. It was so big, so many things to do, so interesting. And I like to hear about where you're from, in Canada. And I tried to research, and I thought, well, what's Calgary sort of famous for? And yeah, the Calgary Stampede came up as the first thing. The greatest show on earth, and it looks amazing. I've heard of it before, but I never kind of dug too deep into it. But
Yep.
10-day annual Western Festival, one of the world's biggest rodeo events. I mean, that sounds incredible. Was that anything like, you were into, that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a big part of the city. There's definitely that kind of Western influence and a little bit of that country music kind of scene that I naturally was a little bit, I guess, associated with. I definitely did some songwriting with country artists as I was first writing songs, and that definitely showed me a lot about writing songs. And then actually even going back, it's funny you mentioned Stampede. That was a big piece of my development, I guess, as like a singer and a performer. The Stampede actually has like a youth performers program because every year they put on a big show there, and so basically they give you a year of kind of training, and you learn performance, singing, a bit of dancing, that kind of stuff. And they put on this big spectacle every Stampede. So they got kind of the young kids kind of back up the main acts, and they bring in like circus performers and sometimes musical artists and various different things. It's kind of like a variety show they put on, and a big firework display and all that. So I was actually part of that. It's called the Young Canadians School of Performing Arts, I guess. I was a part of that program for a number of years in Calgary growing up, and that definitely gave me a lot of experience too on stage. I mean, I've yet to perform for that many people like since like I got I think in front of the crowd, like you do 10 shows every stampede, they say every stampede we do 10 shows, and I think it's somewhere around like 15,000 people a night are watching this show.
Wow.
So it's a lot of people, and I had the opportunity as a vocalist to um, sing like the lead vocals a few times on some of these songs. So here I was singing live in front of 10 to 15,000 people every night, which is definitely a crazy experience. Now sometimes I'm playing to like 10 people a night, if it's a bad night.
That's incredible. And, what age were you, then, did you say?
I think I first started that program like when I was maybe 12 years old, and I stayed in it till 16 or so, 16 or 17, and got to do some of that like the lead vocal type stuff later on in it. But it was a really cool experience. I mean, I worked with some like world class kind of uh, producers in terms of the live kind of entertainment sphere, like guy people that had worked on like Cirque du Soleil type events, and like even I think the Olympics like the opening ceremonies for the World Olympics, those type of people. So it's definitely a different world than what I'm into now as an artist, as a musician. But it's being able to sing and get that experience performing in front of so many people definitely helps me now because I'm not really ever nervous to
I was
go
gonna
on
say that I
stage.
bet that's killed any stage fright that you might have had.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of opportunities to just get comfortable being on stage. And I even had like, I think one time where I messed up like in front of all these thousands of people. Like I remember like singing, like drawing a blank on the words for some reason one night, and I was like probably 15 years old, and just devastated after that, like, 'cause they had, like, the backing track with, background vocals recorded, and so I'm up there singing the wrong lyrics, and, like, people could probably tell, and so, having done stuff like that in the past, now it's like, can't be too bad. Playing in front of a couple hundred people, and I play a wrong note, who cares, right? So
Well, for noobs like us, we probably wouldn't notice, but perfectionists like you guys, you kind of, yeah, you see and hear it. But no, that's cool, man. That's a great story. I'm glad I kind of brought that part up. And yeah, I was just kind of joking around earlier with like, what's Calgary famous for? And I could see it's near the Rocky Mountains and stunning landscape. I think that's kind of Canada for the most part. And then I was looking at, who's famous from there, and Bret the Hitman Hart came up as
Yep.
the famous dude. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. But for you, I always ask this question to kind of people that come on, and whether they're from Texas or another state or even a different country. But you know, to be a Canadian, what does that mean to you? And what kind of makes Canada or your particular state special?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's it's something I always was challenged with because I'm obsessed with American music, and so I I didn't like fully identify with Canadian, but as especially now, I feel more and more proud to be from Canada. I think um, we're very fortunate with what we have. It's definitely a very special country, and there's a certain yeah, just like I guess kindness to the to to the culture, and I'm definitely proud of that aspect. I think yeah, I mean Canada and the US, I feel I like both. I feel at home in both, and not everyone has that opinion necessarily, but I think there's good people everywhere. And I haven't had the chance to play overseas just yet, but I'm sure it's the same thing once I get over to the UK and Europe. It's there's great people everywhere, and I think music transcends politics and transcends borders and all that. So that's the beautiful thing about it. So yeah, I don't think too much about like country pride that much or anything like that. They say Alberta, where I'm from, is the Texas of Canada, if that means anything. So now being down here in Texas, like it's kind of like I don't know. It sometimes feels like the same in a way, just a lot hotter and a lot better Mexican food. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, the Mexican food is amazing, and the barbecue. I'm
Oh yeah.
I'm missing that so badly. We don't have particularly good barbecue in the UK. We're not built for that type of thing. But yeah, what a great place that was. And yeah, you say it's the Texas of Canada, but at least you guys are tough enough to brave the cold, unlike our friends down south. But that's cool, man.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of taking your kind of music career seriously, and not just kind of playing part time or whatever, but making it your career in life. At what point did that kind of click with you that is what you're going to be doing?
Well, about in high school, I started playing at the blues bar in Calgary. It's kind of the spot. It's called the Blues Can, and I started playing gigs there. I hosted a jam night there once a month, and it was definitely that was the beginning of things kind of taking off for me, I guess, in terms of a career. I never really thought about what I'm gonna do for a living. It's just I I knew I was meant to be on stage, and then over time I got more and more into songwriting. So around that time, like I said, I was in high school. We were going down to the Blues Can after high school on Monday nights and hosting this jam and packing the place with our friends, and we all had to be out by 9 p.m. or else we'd get in trouble. Can't be in the bar too late when you're just 16, 17, right? But we yeah, we started picking up gigs with my band, and I just that passion just really took over for me, and from then on, it was just music was what I wanted to do. I enjoyed every piece of it: the songwriting, the being in the studio, and performing. And I never really thought, I'm gonna be famous or I want to be super successful or whatever. I knew that I wanted to do this. It was what I was meant to do, and kind of I just kept going out of high school full time. Started playing more, and we started getting out on the road and touring around Western Canada. And yeah, I made a record, my debut album. It took a little while to get it all together, but we finally put it out just in at the end of 2024. And since then, I've gotten to play some pretty good festivals, and we're starting to play in the States. And we'll be coming over to Europe finally for the first time in May here. We've got a festival date over there, Moulin
Oh, wow.
Blues. So I'm excited for that.
Where's that exactly?
It's in the Netherlands, Ospel, I believe, the
Ah,
Moulin
very
Blues
good.
Festival. Yeah, it's that'll be my first endeavor over in those parts, and I'm really looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah.
And hoping to play more in the States as well. But yeah, just yeah, one thing's led to the next, and here we are, already
Yeah.
working on the second album.
That's amazing. Before we get to that, mate, yeah, you mentioned your kind of debut album in 2024. It's interesting. I love the fact, how these podcasts come about for me, and I love the fact that we're talking now because I discovered your music late last year, so it's a little bit late to the party. But what I enjoy about, some people don't like Spotify and some of these other platforms, but what I find that they do really well is that if you're looking for a particular kind of sound, I mean, I love independent music and finding new music. We've all heard the old classics, and I'm like, I get a bit bored of that. I want to find new artists. And Spotify is great for that. So the AI kind of pumps into playlists for me to say, well, I like this particular song, and it was a modern soul song by, funny enough, a country artist that I enjoy. And it made me a playlist, and a couple of your tracks came into that, and that's
Mm.
how, I came to kind of find your music, and yeah, that was really cool. It's there's certain songs and artists that come up on the playlist, and I have to kind of stop what I'm doing, have a look, and see who is that. I'll start following and kind of going down the rabbit hole. And so glad I did for you, Marcus. And I think I'm sure the song was holding out for you, so that was your kind of most played on Spotify. But would you mind if
Yeah.
I play just a little bit of that, just so people can kind of get an understanding of your sound? Is that okay, mate?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Let's hope the play button works. Let's go for it.
But I keep holding out for you. Shift your point of view. I've always been somebody that you knew. There's just so much more that we could have been true. So I'm holding out for you.
Thanks, man. What a song that is, and you can hear so many kind of influences from the old bands, even a bit of Motown
Mm.
within your songs. But there's something really fresh about it, and that's what I love. I think there's some kind of youthful enthusiasm, and I think it's great to find the kind of youth kind of keeping that sound alive. How old
Yeah.
are you, if you don't mind me asking, Marcus?
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, for sure. I'm 24 now, and yeah, we recorded that like a while back. So even now, I feel like my voice and stuff sounds a little bit more mature now because I would have been 21 when we went in the studio recording that stuff. I didn't get released for a little while after that. So
Yeah,
um, it's yeah, it's cool. It's definitely yeah, that soul thing that I'm going for, and I think you're right. I do have kind of a fresh take on things. I'm not necessarily just trying to be a tribute act or something to the past, even though I'm obsessed with 70s soul, Bill Withers and Stevie Wonder and Curtis Mayfield and all that stuff, and of course blues music and funk and kind of all that stuff mixed together. But yeah, it's I've been trying to find my own lane and I guess not limit myself to one sound either, which is sometimes tough to get, the word out there, because I like all different types of stuff, all different types of Americana music. I guess why I'm on this podcast, right? I listen to, roots and folk and bit of like southern rock, and even, country leaning stuff. And I think all that sometimes seeps into my music, because there is different types. Like with blues, there's gospel blues and country blues, right? The Delta, Mississippi, and the Chicago electric blues, and there's different types of, even within one genre. And so, yeah, I'm just, I guess, because I came from a place so kind of outside, I'm able to draw from it all, because I'm looking back on the history of it, and also I'm not limited by geography. One of the benefits of the internet, right, is
Yeah.
you can just jump around to any, time, any era. And but yeah, it's cool too how you say, like, my music is getting out there through these platforms like Spotify, which, yeah, there definitely is problems with, but also the fact that I'm, able to get my music heard by the right people, hopefully, is really cool. And yeah, it's crazy how that happens. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome, man, and that's why I love the podcast. We find kind of hidden gems sometime, and we like, more people need to listen to this. It's great. We've got people that listen in the UK, obviously, and across America. So, our part of this is trying to platform independent, unsigned, or emerging artists, and just show people. Sometimes there's more than just the old classics, which is great, like I say. But I don't think people realize how much new good music is out there. So, not
hmm
to be kind of rude to people, but I'm trying to spoon feed and say, look, that it is out there, because I've heard it so many
right,
times. People go, well, I listen to the old stuff because no one's making it anymore. And I think they are.
yeah,
It's very difficult, with social media and sometimes with Spotify and the algorithm, you're constantly fighting against it. I think that's the consensus I get from independent artists. Unless you've got a big marketing team, or perhaps you have a lucky viral moment.
yeah,
You're competing, with quite a big market and trying to get
yeah.
your sound out there. So, do you have any kind of like tactics or anything that works for you to get your music out?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It definitely feels like sometimes you're just throwing stuff into the abyss, right? Because there's just so much going on, right? And now, with there's AI generated music that's even, coming to cloud things. I personally think I can tell the difference, and usually I'm right when I hear it. I'm like, nah, something about this just,
Something right about it, yeah.
yeah. Like at first, it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, and then, it just doesn't connect the same. But it is true that it's even that is starting to kind of cloud things. So yeah, I don't know what to say. I think nothing beats the in-person human connection, and that's kind of why we're out here doing these crazy, 3-day drives, getting out on the road to play little shows down in Texas and Louisiana, because um, that real face-to-face interaction at a live show is something that can't be replicated. And I think for me too, it's all about relationships and connecting with people. I'm not doing this to be like uh, admired, like as some sort of uh, prophet or godlike figure or whatever. I think it's I have a gift that I hope some people value, and I hope that I can help, you know, bring some positivity or whatever to your, night. And that's really it for me, is sharing that with people and connecting. And so, I hope, like, with some of these means like social media and Spotify, it I really just, I have to cross my fingers that I get in front of the right people, because there are people out there, like you say, that are looking for, what's current but still classic, or what's happening now but is still good and cool and rooted in the tradition of just real music. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just trying to get out there and get on the road, and I think that's the way really to do it. And if the algorithms can help me out a bit on the way, that'd be great, of course. But we're just gonna keep building it one person at a time, kind of, and just not take for granted those real connections. So um, yeah, that's what we're doing, getting out there, putting those miles on the old van.
I'm sure, mate. But no, that's really cool to hear. And you mentioned in your live shows, getting out there and bringing some positivity to the night. And man, I was on YouTube the other night. I kicked back with a couple of whiskeys, and I thought, I know Marcus is on this week. I want to go and have a look at your videos on there. And you've got some awesome, live shows. And I'm trying to remember what the name of that particular one I was watching was. It was something like Village Hall or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
um,
Probably Festival Hall.
Festival Hall. That was it, mate. What a well recorded video. And man, you've got such a cool band. It's cool that you've got your brother on drums, and to hear that full sound, I think you have to have that, with your type of music that you do, to have the full band there. And I'm sure
Yeah.
there was one particular song you even had a saxophonist, up on
Yep.
stage. That
Yeah.
was so cool.
For this last record, there was a lot of horns on the record. So, and that particular show that we had some videos out from was the hometown album release concert. So, had to go all out for that. Had the two-piece horn section and a two-piece backing vocals, gospel female singers. So, I'd like to bring that with me on the road more. It's tough
Yeah.
to tour with that many, but yeah, and then we'll also see where we go, kind of with the next record too. But definitely, yeah, the first record, I was influenced a lot by like Stax Records and kind of that Memphis sound, a bit of Motown too, and but definitely it was a little bit more Memphis style, which has a lot of horns and kind of is a little bit more raw sounding, not super polished, but um, definitely got to have the saxophone for sure. So, yep, it's been fun. We've had the horns for a number of the festivals we did following this record, and yeah, definitely it's the more people you can involve really in your band, I think the better. Just to me, that's the point of music, right? Is that sharing and connection. And so, I never really liked doing the solo gigs. I do them from time to time, of course, if the opportunity makes sense. But I always want to bring a band with me, even if it's just a trio or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like you say, maybe you need a bigger tour van sometimes to take the
Yeah,
everyone with you. But
yeah.
yeah, I direct people to your YouTube to go and have a look at that, because it's just incredible to see that, and you're going to be very lucky to see Marcus live. But I was also looking at the dates as well. So I think you mentioned, so From the Start was released late 2024, but when I was going through some of your videos, the songs from that are quite a bit earlier, aren't they? So when did you start kind of writing and recording those songs originally?
uh, well, we were in the studio back in 2023. So kind of December 2023, the very end of that year was when we recorded. I got hooked up with some folks in Toronto, Canada, and uh, recorded out there. So I flew out there with my brother, and then we assembled a band uh, in Toronto of a few other kind of studio players. And so my brother on drums, me, guitar, vocals, of course. And I had most of the songs written and kind of in the bank for a while. I think I think most of the songs on this first record were written around 2020, 2021, during post, COVID lockdown, during that whole craziness, and gave me a lot of time to just be alone and write, and also just, I guess, think about life, because I was 20 years old at that time, just, fresh out of high school, starting to play gigs, and not really, you know, sure of how my future was going to look. Not really, like, I didn't know a lot about living real life, even, right? Like, obviously, just been in school and growing up at home, so I hadn't seen a lot. And then going through, you know, the pandemic times and the struggle of that, I definitely had a lot of kind of mental health kind of type of challenges, as we all kind of do and did at that time, just depression and stuff like that, and a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. And so a lot of these songs were me working through that, and kind of also, coming into my adulthood and figuring that out, and kind of, so it's a mix of that time and all the uncertainty, and the uh also the new, um the new kind of experiences I was having as a young man. And so, yeah, I'm definitely really proud to look back on that album, and some of the songs, like Ready to Go, for example, came from like a uh, pretty hard season, in a lot of dark kind of emotions that I was facing and confronting at that time. And so to be able to have that on record, I think is kind of cool, because it'll always be a reminder of going through that, and now, um, where I am now, which is, things are happening, getting out, playing more, and there's a lot more, I guess, to be hopeful about, in a way. I mean, who knows? The world's still a crazy place, and there's lots of things to be worried about, for sure. But definitely, in a I would say a better place overall. And so, yeah, that's kind of that project. It took a little while till we got it released fully, but we did a bunch of singles and stuff on the way. So it was, by the time it fully came out, um, was end of 2024. So yeah, and now we're working on the next record here. We've already got a bunch of the songs recorded, so excited for the future.
Fantastic, mate. And you mentioned Ready to Go. Funny enough, I had that queued up because that is probably one of my favorites off the album. Would you
Oh,
mind if
cool.
we play a little bit of that as well, mate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's take a
Yeah.
listen.
He's dead. He just don't feel like home. So I'm ready to go. Oh, I'm ready to go.
Superb. It's you still got that kind of soulful sound. I'm a John Mayer geek, and that kind of gives me John Mayer vibes as well. And
Mm.
I just think it's an excellent album. Very, a mature album for someone that wrote it, so young as well. So it's really cool, man, to hear that. And
Ah,
we'll go into kind of what
thank you.
you're doing next, mate, with your new music and that particular sound. But before we get there, I'm just looking at some of the kind of accolades and some of the achievements as well, because I think it's, that's not good to overlook that stuff. But so in 2023, I read that you won the, I'm going to pronounce this really badly, Telluride Blues Challenge.
Yeah, you got
Um,
it. Yeah,
Almost there.
yeah.
So yeah, tell us about it. So I went on the website. I was like, oh, "This looks pretty cool, man." And I'd sort of line up for, because it's like a festival, isn't it? And you got
Yep.
Marcus King, Samantha Fish, all of these amazing kind of modern blues artists. So yeah, what kind of was that for you, mate?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience for me. I Yeah, I'd heard about this festival. Again, they always present like great lineups, and I I'd seen the festival, and didn't have much going on. Was thinking about actually just taking a road trip down to Colorado to check this out, and then I found out they have this blues challenge thing that's a part of the festival every year too, and you can enter, and if you're a finalist, you get to perform, and then they have musician judges, and the winner gets, I guess, announced on the main stage of this festival, and you get to like play a little in between set, and then actually the following year, you get to come back and bring your band and be on the actual lineup. So I thought that was pretty cool. I originally was just gonna go down and check out the festival, and so my you know I, why not throw my name in, right, is what I thought. So I threw in the application, and sent in my songs, and yeah, sure enough, get asked to be a finalist. So I'm going down, driving down in my van, sleeping in the van, and brought my guitar along with me, of course, and yeah, ended up winning the blues challenge there, and that was yeah, massive. It was just super cool community for sure around blues, and I think the great thing about this festival too is they seem to really know, I guess, who the hot kind of blues artists are, but that aren't like purely blues necessarily. They're open to different things. So I'd go there, and they have Anders Osborne and like some jammy kind of rock and roll going on, and they have all different types of stuff, like some more traditional stuff. Robert Cray played it when I was there, and yeah, it's just like the perfect festival, in my opinion. And you're also like up in the mountains of Colorado. Like Telluride is, I'm sure some of the Americans have heard of it. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Kind of a little bit like our Banff, but uh, different. It's definitely uh, yeah, special. So being up there in the mountains and doing that was great, and I think you know being able to come back the following year and bring my band, that was my first official show in the U.S. Was getting to be on the Telluride Blues and Brews lineup. We were on the same poster as Gary Clark Jr., who's one of my biggest heroes, and it's like super cool. Uh, and definitely that was a very much an inspiring um, experience, and just yeah, very very encouraging part of my career, and yeah, I've always been the type of guy to do those things, not just sit around at home and kind of wait for something to happen. As a Canadian artist, one of the biggest challenges is crossing that border, because it's so close, but feels like a world away, especially with all the visas and all the challenges there. Unless you're signed to, a major label or something, it's hard to get your initial foot in the door and start touring in the States. So just to go down and be a part of a competition like this was like the perfect thing for me, because it's a real music competition, something that I actually could respect, not like going on a TV show or something, right? So
Yeah.
and yeah, and then that would kind of kick things off for me in the States. So now I've had the opportunity to come down and play some more shows. We've played in Chicago. I've done some opening slots in California. Nothing too crazy, but just starting to get out there, and then of course now we're down Texas, Louisiana, and yeah, it's just really cool how one thing kind of leads to the next, right? I wasn't even planning to be a part of this blues challenge. I didn't even know about it till after I'd already bought a ticket to go to the festival, right? So just following that, and it's cool to see how just the road kind of lays out in front of you. And sometimes it's a it's a journey. It's definitely an uncertain path, but you gotta just be open to it. And for me, it's always been about experiencing new things and just really trying to squeeze the juice out of life. And so yeah, it's been a blessing for sure to win that and come down here.
I love that, mate. It's you casually throw your hat into the ring, and the outcome is special. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can draw inspiration from that attitude. You got to be in it to win it. Put yourself out there, and it can be daunting. Perhaps if you're more of an introvert,
Yeah.
it is difficult. But look at the kind of fruits from your labor from doing that, and to meet and to play and to be on the same kind of bill as these types of people. It's yeah, it's commendable, man. And yeah, we're excited to see what you kind of get up to next. But
Thank
to
you.
before I kind of waffle on about other stuff, but so we kind of almost touched upon your new music and what you're kind of getting up to next. So I'm really intrigued about that because you've got that sort of certain sound with the first album. Tell us about the new stuff. Does it kind of deviate much? And yeah, I'll kind of let you explain it, mate.
Yeah. We got into the studio again towards the end of last year, and yeah, I've definitely been, like I kind of touched on earlier, trying to find my lane and where I fit. You mentioned John Mayer as someone who, um, I could be compared to maybe certain songs, but not all the songs that I write. And I find John Mayer to be a cool artist because he grew up playing blues and stuff, and uh, listening to Albert King and all these cool things, but that he also found his own kind of path. And he maybe went a little far in the pop direction for
For
my
a few years.
liking personally at times, not all the time though. And I definitely appreciate a lot of his music too, and his playing's great. And so I guess I'm trying to kind of find my, you know, whatever John Mayer, my Marcus Trummer kind of artist lane. Um, but there's other artists too, like I mentioned, Gary Clark Jr. And Marcus King too, who they kind of have like a mix of different type of genres. You can't just pin them down, and even at a show there'll be some people there for Gary for example there for his you know rocking guitar playing and those crazy solos. But then he also has those soft, soulful kind of R&B ballads, and they might not like that stuff, but then other people do. And then there's the type of music fans that I am, where I like all that stuff, right? Because I'm anything that came from a, a soulful place, I'm into. Uh, and uh, and so that's like I think the cool part about those artists is different people can be drawn by different things, but then also the people who are into it all and can understand the kind of the complexity of those types of artists really connect with it. And I can see beyond the just the one dimensional nature. I like all the different elements. I like going to a Marcus King show and hearing a little bit of country kind of stuff, even though you know, I think he's better at the blues stuff, but the country's kind of cool too at times, right? I don't mind it at all. Um, so yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge, of course, and it's always going to be a challenge too, trying to market yourself um, as a someone who's kind of a cross genre type of artist. I've definitely found like my voice and stuff in like a soul kind of style fits the best probably. And guitar wise I'll always be influenced by the blues and by the great electric blues players. So you're going to kind of get a mix of that at all times. But songwriting, I try not to limit myself, and I just kind of write from wherever, allow the source to just kind of flow through me in a way, right? So I'm not necessarily going for one sound on this next record. I think it's definitely going to evolve a little bit from the last, and it does feel a little bit more like I'm getting towards my unique sound, if that makes sense. Previously, I had a little bit more uncertainty and maybe not as much confidence, and so I went in just with some songs, and with the help of a producer, we kind of pushed them in a different, like we had some like uh the only thing that's more of a straight up blues type of feel, and then the ready to go was just kind of like an R&B, a little bit John Mayer kind of uh vibe, and so yeah, this next project, I actually stepped into the producer role, and so I'm producing it myself, and so it's a little bit scary, but also I feel much more confident in myself. I had more years and more playing to develop, and yeah, I think the result of that is going to be uh, a little bit more true to me, and maybe a little bit less like, oh, one song could be compared to this guy and one could be this. It's kind of more just all me, but it's definitely still going to be pulling from a wide range of influences. That's for sure.
That's awesome. It's no, I'm super interested now you're saying about producing it yourself. That is, a lot of confidence there, and I've no doubt you'll smash it. So I can't wait to listen to what comes next. But so yeah, I mean, when you're writing, and I always find this interesting, how people write their songs, and whether it's something like I want to write a song that sounds a bit like, I don't know, Allman Brothers, or that sort of style. Do you think about it in that way? I mean, how do you start with a blank page? What is your typical approach?
Yeah, I tried to not put any like real thought into it, and more focus on the feeling. So I generally get inspired like out of the blue. Um Usually it's just sitting with nothing to do, and I just pick up my guitar and start messing around, and next thing you know, like a melody will pop into my head, and I'll start humming along, and then I'll just try to write whatever kind of phrase comes to mind first. And yeah, I never really try to approach it with like the intention of trying to make a certain type of song. Like, oh, we need a single, or we need a ballad, or um, we're going to write a jam tune for festivals or something. It's more just whatever the moment kind of calls. And yeah, I find that usually works the best for me. It's sometimes tough to find the time to just chill, and especially when you're traveling and on the road. But when I'm at home, it's usually, yeah, just sitting around with the guitar, and just got to make sure to keep your phone in in a different room, and
Easier
and
said than done sometimes, isn't it?
yes, and don't open up that email or anything like that, because it'll just kill your flow. And yeah, I guess that's why, like, the shower sometimes too, I get like a good idea. Usually it's a melody, or a even like a bass line or like a groove. Usually the lyrics come after, but yeah, just whenever I get that, I got to make the time and space. And sometimes you get like a verse or a chorus, or sometimes you get the whole song um, in that first go of it. But yeah, I mean, after the fact, like, for example, we've been in the studio now, and we've recorded like a bunch of songs. I kind of have an idea of like, maybe I need like this kind of song to like add to the album. And I think subconsciously that will have an effect, but I don't like go out intending to like, oh, I need to write the single now for the record. Um, so yeah, that's been my approach. I definitely think a lot of songwriters have that approach, but I've also tried um, couple different approaches too over the years. I've had some experiences doing co-writing, where you like plan a time and sit down, and it's like, what do you want to write about today? And they do a lot of that, like in Nashville and
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? And Calgary, we're kind of the Nashville of Canada, a little bit in the music world, I would say. There's a lot of like, yeah, like country singer songwriter types that'll want to do this, and I definitely think it's not really my thing, but at the same time, it is kind of good to try, and maybe you exercise a little bit of that muscle of writing. And I guess the biggest piece I took from that is having the discipline to sit down and actually try to finish a song. So now I try to only write when I am in like that creative space. I don't try to force it, but once I get going, I have to make sure that like I said, I'm not going to Instagram or something, or um, give myself that space to try and finish the song. And if it's not working, I don't force it ever, but at least give me a good shot at it, right? Before I go scrolling or something.
Yeah, stay away from the social media when you're doing that. It's we got to witness some co-writing sessions where we were in Texas, because it was more of a kind of business trip with the podcast, and we were so lucky to kind of experience some of that with the artists that we're friends with, and go and see them operate in that space. And like you say, it's not always people's kind of cup of tea, that kind of environment. But it's interesting, they're kind of pushed into perhaps not uncomfortable, but different spaces where they're not used to perhaps, working as a team or
Yeah.
co-writing in that sense, and something different comes out of it. So, it was just interesting to kind of watch that, that happen and play out. So that's
Yeah, for
cool that
sure.
you're doing it as well, dude. Awesome, man. So moving on slightly. So we have a podcast. Well, I have a podcast. Talking rubbish now. We have a Spotify playlist, shall I say? And it's exclusive to the podcast. So basically, anyone that comes on the show, we ask them to pick one of your songs, your own songs, that we can add to this playlist, so people can kind of go to that playlist and find out what you're all about. So, if you were to
Cool.
pick one song, what would you pick, mate?
Um, yeah, I think probably the song that sums up what I do the most, and I think would also be cool for some of your followers to check out. It's called "Hard Time," and yeah, it's definitely it's a little bit more rootsy leaning, but it's kind of got like a gospel influence to the progression, and I think yeah, it's really a song about what I stand for too. It's the chorus is talking about it's a hard time for living, but any time's a good time for loving, and that's kind of my thing is like, we just got to um focus on loving on one another, loving your neighbor, and you know despite what's going on in the world, or politically or whatever, just trying to bridge that. And it's kind of what I stand for with music, and let the music be the connection point. And yeah, so I definitely recommend people check that song out. It's kind of a nice intro to what I'm all about. It's got a bit of the blues in there, a bit of the soul and kind of gospely thing, but then there's a little bit of that rootsiness too. I think kind of gives you a nice overview um, of where I've been, and then people have to follow along with where I'm going.
That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely get that added, but you're in great company. We've got some fantastic kind of blues and soul artists that we've had on the podcast. So we've had likes of Jesse Williams, Zach Wilkerson, Eddie Smith from the UK, Still Saddle, Alex
Yeah.
Rogers, When I sat down, I said, actually, we've had quite a lot of that type of music, and the playlist
Awesome.
is growing. I originally said 2 songs, but it was getting like ridiculously long.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, we'll definitely add hard time, mate. So I like to ask these sort of questions as well, just to kind of get an idea of what you're listening to lately as well. So, if you had to pick a best album or even just a single that you've listened to in the last 5 years,
Mm.
what is your favorite and kind of what makes it stand out for you?
Yeah, that's a tough. Are we talking like new releases, do you think?
I would say so.
Maybe?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
because there's been so much really good music in the last
Yeah, no
5 to
doubt.
10, man. So,
Y
yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
just interested what you're listening to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of new releases, I'm trying to think. I mean, um, there's some there's some really cool stuff. Actually, a band actually, I think a UK band called Salt, S
Okay.
A SAULT. Um and they've put out a number of good albums in the past few years. Um it's very much soulful stuff, but they have like a kind of a broad kind of palette of sounds, and it's a little bit more self-produced sounding stuff, but it always has some great depth to it. And yeah, I've been really digging into that stuff lately. And then yeah, I guess that's the one. I guess I made my choice. There's so many more I could mention actually now that I think about it.
Well, we'll circle
Um,
back to that, mate, because I've got
yep.
a kind of similar question around it. But no, it's cool. I'll definitely check them out. I've not heard of Salt, and being a UK band, it's pretty bad on me, really. But I'll go and check them out. But yeah, so I mean, with the Rugged Revival, we kind of started life as a community. The main thing we wanted to do was platform independent artists, and get that recognition, try and help you discover new audiences, particularly in the UK, because I think the UK is a little bit kind of insular in what we listen to or what we do.
Right.
We haven't got quite the live scene that you guys have out in Canada or even like the US, particularly. They've got an incredible live music scene, particularly on the independent kind of circuit. We don't really have that to that extent here. So the podcast was kind of almost a cultural exchange to say, these are the artists we're listening to over
Yeah.
here. You listen, and we'll do a bit of a swap as well. UK artists we think are fantastic, like Eddie Smith, and
Mm.
kind of sharing that with our US audiences, and it's worked really well. But but the fact that you're touring so much, and you're kind of perhaps witnessing the independent scene as you go. Have you seen any emerging artists or perhaps bands or uh, just solo acts who are kind of operating under the radar that you've heard and thought, wow, these guys are fantastic and they should probably get more listeners?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I can speak a little bit to the Canadian scene. Um, yeah, there's a guy out of Montreal. His name's Justin Saladino, and he's got a couple records out under the name Justin Saladino Band, and he makes really good music. He's a great guitar player, and it's very much, um, yeah, um, blues rock oriented stuff. But he's got some depth to what he does, and yeah, big fan of what he's doing, and he's definitely under the radar. There's a soul and R&B artist as well out of Canada, Tanika Charles. So if people are into like the more soul oriented stuff, definitely check out Tanika Charles. She makes fantastic music. She's put out a number of really good albums. So those are some of the Canadian artists that I would um, definitely tell people to look into. Um, and yeah, they've definitely been inspired what I'm doing now. And I know them as well. They're cool people for sure.
Good. No, I think it's a great opportunity to kind of share that, and 2 new names for me as well. So that's awesome. I will definitely be going down the rabbit hole and and giving that a spin as well, dude.
Totally.
But yeah, in terms of like stuff for I said the rest of this year, it's still pretty early on, but you mentioned in May you're going over to the Netherlands to play in Europe, which is fantastic. Bit jealous that they get to see you first before the UK, but I'll let you off, dude. And then you talked about the new music, but is there anything kind of in between or afterwards? Any exclusives? In terms of what you're doing, what you're up to, somewhere that you're playing. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how soon this podcast will come out, but in just a couple weeks, we're touring Western Canada. So that'll be kind of the next thing as soon as we get back home. And we're going all throughout Western Canada with another artist, Samantha Martin and Delta Sugar. She makes great music too, kind of rootsy, bluesy soul stuff. Another artist people should check out for sure. And then after that, yeah, we'll probably be getting back into the studio a little bit, just to put the final touches on the next record. And then yeah, this summer, we're gonna do some few Canadian festivals, and yeah, definitely getting our first trip out to Europe out the way there in May, and looking forward to that very much. And then yeah, really just excited to start putting out singles and stuff and get the next record going. And then after that, I think we'll stay even busier on the road. That's the plan anyway.
Awesome, mate. That's fantastic. And I mean, do you have a way of kind of looking forward? How far forward do you tend to look? Do you just take each year as it comes? Do you have a master plan over the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, how do you kind of operate?
Yeah, I've generally up until this point kind of seen where the next opportunity kind of takes me, right? So it's like with the Telluride Blues Challenge, like one thing kind of leads to the next, it seems. So that opened up the door to come to the States and start playing a little bit down here. Well, now we've got our foot in the door with this European festival. So maybe we'll see what leads to there. At the same time, I'm definitely thinking about the trajectory of my recording career a bit more and planning that out and thinking like, okay, I want to get another album out, about 2 years after the first, and kind of keep up that momentum, right? And so I think a little bit about the record, but at the same time, I don't want to force it either, right? And I I'm still a young guy and have lots of living to do, right? I think if you're gonna be a songwriter and try to be the type of songwriter that I'm trying to be, which is someone whose perspective people respect, and they go to it uh, maybe to learn something or just have their own perspective changed. I think if you're going to try and write from that kind of deeper place and not just write, la 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 love songs or whatever party songs, you have to live a bit. And so I'm not trying to rush the release and recording and that whole process, because I want to make sure that I'm actually writing about things that matter and leaving kind of a a legacy with my albums. And so yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to like over obsess and like, I realize it's also part of my journey too, right? And not every record is not going to be, it's not going to be the big one or whatever. Like I think no one actually really knows. It's more uh after the fact you put out a record and, oh, I had no idea this was going to be such a big thing. So I'll also try not to be too precious with the songs either, and realize that it's all part of my journey too, and I can share kind of where I'm at on the way too. But I think that there's a balance to that, and so that's kind of what I think about. But yeah, not, I don't have everything totally planned out or like a massive vision. I just know I want to be able to tour and find the right people. The it doesn't have to be tens of thousands of people necessarily, but just like the right uh, the right people for me, and that my music can help. And I think we're slowly getting there, and just keep doing my thing and getting out there more and more.
Yeah, you continue doing your thing, Marcus, because yeah, I have no doubt you'll be successful in everything that you're going to be doing. I'm interested to
Thanks.
know, what type of people come to your gigs? What is the average kind of Marcus Trummer fan? Is it a mixture of ages and genders? What's it like?
Yeah, yeah, definitely the demographics. I think they've started out more on the older end, just because I kind of got seen as this blues revival kid, and I think it happens to a lot of blues, guitar players, young guys, and so I got like booked for a lot of like smaller blues festivals and like these blues societies, which are great. I think it's great to have people who want to promote blues and keep the history of it alive. But I'm definitely also trying to connect with a broader audience and not just be in that little blues bubble. So over time, I think I've started to get more younger fans coming out, and um, yeah, just making connections with younger people. So I would say my shows now are it's a little bit more all over the place. Definitely still skews older, which is okay, but we're starting to tap into uh, the younger market, even if it's just like younger guitar players and stuff that are like, oh, he plays guitar. They come out for that. But then they might bring their friend along, and their friend's kind of like not there for the guitar playing, but they kind of like my songwriting or something. And they're like, oh, kind of like you, like you were saying, like, oh, it's kind of like John Mayer, but it's kind of got this old school thing too. And oh, I think like soul music in particular is very accessible. Blues as well, but especially soul music because it's driven by melody and generally good songwriting. There can be some kind of surface level soul songs, but for the most part, I mean, if you think of any Stevie Wonder or Bill Withers or something like that, that music gets used in movies time and time again, and people know a lot of these songs. Lovely Day, like everyone's heard that, or um, Superstitious, da, 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 like everyone's heard that stuff. Ain't No Sunshine, like all that stuff is so accessible, and I think people just don't really know as much about it. But once they hear it, even young folks who might not necessarily listen to this stuff all the time are like, oh yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we're getting out there, expanding, you know. But I'm happy to have older folks at my shows too.
Oh, we're not
Um,
dissing on the older folks. It's
Absolutely not,
keep
especially
coming.
when they buy CDs still too, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, I've been trying to buy vinyl, and
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah, a lot of younger kind of people are getting into vinyl more, so we sell quite a bit of vinyl too at shows, which is cool.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, we picked up a bunch of vinyl. We were gifted some, the ones behind us from some
Yeah.
friends, and um, I made the mistake of getting it shipped back from Texas, and it cost like $300 or four
Oh
hundred
wow,
dollars. So
wow.
this is like the most valuable thing in my house. But yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, I've noticed that. There's CDs, there's vinyl. Yeah, I think is that a great way to support you at the live shows, to buy the merch, kind of support you in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you buy a CD or a vinyl, you'd have to listen to a song on Spotify probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of times over to get that same amount of money. And so it's a great way to keep the gas in the tank for us, and keep us coming back if we play your city and you liked us. And Yeah, I think that's the best way folks can support independent artists, I would say, these days. That and just like sharing about them, like telling your friends and even I appreciate if people like my music and they share a link to it to their social media or something. Like that's always great too, like a Spotify, Apple Music link on your social media. That's a great uh, first impression. If you share that with your friends. So even little things like that, you don't even have to spend money. It can help get the word out for artists, and kind of like what you're doing with the podcast. This is amazing, and super cool of you to want to help out, up and coming artists and help us especially spread the word, elsewhere, over in the UK mainly, I guess is your primary demographic watching this, which is amazing. So really, really cool to get the world, get the word out around the world. And, I just hope we can get to all these places and actually tour. We definitely will, but it's, yeah, expensive to tour, right? So
Yeah, it is, mate. But Holland's a good, place to start. They've got a great scene out there. Some of the artists that we've had on previously tour Holland quite a bit. So I'm excited for you. I think that'll be, an awesome trip for you to
thank
go
you.
out there, man.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but is there anything else that perhaps I haven't covered, or anything else that you want to share? And I mean, where's the main place that people can find you online? Where are you most active?
Uh, sort of everywhere. I mean, if you just look up my name, Marcus Trummer, um, I think I'm the only one making music, and there's not that many of us. And yeah, I got my website's marcustrummermusic.com, and if you go there, you can sign up to my email list, which is probably the best way to really stay in touch. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or something, you might not see my stuff that much. So go to my website, put in your email address, and then um, I send out stuff like every few months, not that often, but when I have like a tour or something, you'll definitely know about it, which is, if you're into what I do, that's the best way is to stay in touch for sure. Don't rely on the algorithms.
Yeah, don't trust the algorithm, but yeah, absolutely. Go to your website, get signed up, and yeah, just support Marcus in general because you're absolutely worth it. And yeah, we're excited to see what you're doing. But yeah, just a couple of last comments from me. But I honestly think you're one of the brightest stars on the scene. I'm trying to avoid saying the blues scene because, like you say, you're more than just a blues artist. You transcend genres. You're one of my new favorite artists. So yeah, really keen to see what you're going to do. So thankful for you to come on and talk to me for so long as well. But the Rugged Revival will be rooting for you no matter what you do. But finally,
Man,
if you got I
thank
don't
you.
know if you got a drink to hand, mate. But we sign off normally on the
Yeah,
Rugged Revival by raising a toast to the grit, the grind, and to the revival. Thanks everyone for
love
listening.
that.
Cheers,
That's
Mark.
amazing. Thank you so much for having me on and all the kind words too. I appreciate that.
No, you're
I've got
super welcome, man.
an Austin, Texas sparkling water here.
Love it.
So
There's no
yeah,
top at
cheers.
Pico.